Hello, I'm Matt Bolton. I'm the Deputy Editor of MacFormat and I've got something very exciting to show you today. Not this piece of junk, although we've got a special video about the Mac Pro on our YouTube channel. Instead, I have a lovely keyboard case to show you, which I assure you is exciting because Logitech, for our money, makes the best keyboard cases around for the iPad, especially in all the previous versions of the iPad. But we haven't seen any for the iPad Air so far until today. So we've got this one to start off with, which comes in a nice funky yellow here, although I think it's also available in black. It's quite thin, as you can see, and part of that is that the keyboard itself is very, very thin. It's this kind of rubbery material. It's a little bit like the touch covers that Microsoft does for its Surface laptop tablet thing. This is generally really nicely made. It's kind of fabricy on the outside, rubbery on the inside, all very grippy. The fabric is very strange. It's textured and it comes out with this kind of weird moire that you can't ever quite focus your eye on, to be honest. But that's fine because the important thing is what's inside. There's a magnet that holds it together quite tightly, quite nicely, and holds the iPad in place like this very firmly. But our first gripe with it is that the angle it holds the iPad up at when you're typing is very, very tall, very upright, and it means that when you're in a tight situation, maybe on a desk or when you're on a train especially, the angle you have on the screen makes it a very small window and is quite inconvenient, to be honest. It actually types okay despite having these very, very shallow keys. Accuracy is alright, the keys are nicely spaced, so that's not too bad. But when you consider that it is probably slightly an inferior typing experience to just a regular keyboard, and that the angle is so narrow and not adjustable, the price of £130 is ridiculous, frankly. It's just way too much. Sorry, not breaking anyone's iPad there. But that £130 is doubly bad when you consider this, which is the ultra-thin keyboard cover with an iPad Air attached. The ultra-thin keyboard cover was our favourite of the old iPad possible keyboard ranges, partly for just the nice slim way it folds down, it kind of mimics the iPad's appearance, but the change in iPad size did mean that it didn't work with the iPad Air. So now we have the new one for the Air, which is excellent. We've got a couple of changes. On the bottom now, it's actually got these little grippy stubs, so it doesn't slide around as much, because it was always just smooth before to kind of mimic the iPad. These grippy studs seem like a good idea, even if they make it a little less pretty than it was before. But that's not the end of the world. As you can see when I was holding it, partly it's supposed to attach just as a little folded cover, pop your iPad off, and then you pop it into a groove here, and the iPad sits upright. Now, first of all, this is a much more pleasant angle of the iPad for working at. The way it's further back, you get a much more square-on view of the screen. But the other thing is the keyboard itself is far, far superior to the fabric skim on that we were just looking at. It's proper keys, they've got a nice little travel. It's not, quite as chunky and nice as Apple's laptop keyboards, say, but the key size is excellent, accuracy is fine, it's really pleasant to use. Ultimately, you can just type long form on this. It's not uncomfortable, it's not different to anything else. You could write the next great novel on it, absolutely no problem. I've personally written, I don't know how much of MacFormat on this thing over the last 2 years or whatever. Well, not on this thing, but on the one I used to have for the old one. And it's £90, which is not cheap, but is a lot cheaper than £130 for what is a far, far superior keyboard experience. So we'll be doing a full review in MacFormat of the new Logitech Ultrathin for iPad Air, but our early hands-on it looks like, once again, this is going to be probably the best choice of keyboard case for an iPad Air.